Okay, Infotechnics were founded in 1999 in Aberdeen, Scotland, which is the oil capital of Europe, and our products are used by energy and utility companies worldwide. We specialize in data management software solutions, and we work in partnership with leading software providers such as Microsoft, OSIsoft, and Oracle. And here's a quick graphic which shows a selection of a few of our clients. So these are from the energy industry, the power generation industry, chemical industries, and we cover most of the process industries. As I said, we're speaking to you today about Opralog, which in its most basic form is an enterprise-wide operational reporting logbook solution, which captures and makes data accessible to a wide variety of users across an organization. And as mentioned, it aims to improve operations, management, safety, communication, decision-making, and other facets of operations. One of the main benefits of Opralog is that it helps reduce the risk of a process safety incident because it provides the critical details behind events within a plant and organization. So why are events happening? It captures all operational information into a single central database, so there's no need anymore for spreadsheets, paper logs, or any of those sort of ways of capturing information, and it integrates with plant historian systems such as PI. It also enhances communications, information flow, safety, and corporate governance practices across an organization. Opralog also improves shift handover, as logbook chapters provide a snapshot of particular shifts, and it's useful for shift handover purposes as all information from the previous shift is displayed clearly. Events can be carried over to the next shift, and events can be shared. For example, a safety incident could be logged in the chronological log and also appear in a safety incident management report. Opralog also provides one version of the truth, and it prevents duplicate information due to its centralized database and integration with other systems. So additional information can also be added to events such as information groups, graphs, attachments, and URL links. And Opralog displays the current plant status, combining numerical data from systems such as PI with operator input, which enables a better understanding of real-time operations. Opralog also provides early warning about potential negative incidents. So set limits can trigger other events and notifications, and these alert the operator if any hazardous situations are occurring. So events, notifications, tasks, and so on can be triggered by data from external systems such as PI, Maximo, and SAP, but also can be triggered by the operator's own inputs. And Opralog can also send out emails or SMS messages to the concerned persons. Opralog also helps to enable consistency of information, and it has an easy-to-use logbook hierarchy which can be implemented detailing events from all over a site and organization. Data can be presented in graphs over a certain time period, and comprehensive audit trails record every action and change carried out on each log entry. So there's always something there to check on, and it provides a consistent overview of plant status to everyone in the organization at all times. Opralog also helps drive down maintenance costs, and we've seen some evidence from this from our current customers, as an accurate account of plant operations allows management to discover where processes can be improved and where costs can be reduced without affecting performance. And it helps improve decision making, so more proactive decisions based on improved communication and information sharing. And Opralog also helps save time capturing data, ensure value added information is recorded. Opralog is usually installed by Technics in around 1 or 2 days. We hold super user training, which lasts about 2 days. We have a follow-up workshop to help configure logbooks for 1 or 2 days. And we also provide full support from the Technics team throughout the implementation and use afterwards. So here again, it's a summary of the Opralog's main benefits. It reduces the risk of a process safety incident, improves shift handover, provides one version of the truth, provides early warning about potential negative incidents, and enables consistent information across an organization, and helps drive down maintenance costs.
What I'd like to do over the next half hour is to give you an overview of Opralog and how the various different logbooks are linked together and constructed. What we see at the moment is a basic chronological logbook. All of our logbooks all have the same format. We have 2 types of logbook. We have a chronological logbook and we have a formatted or report logbook. Our logbook area, the screen is split into 3 different sections. On the left-hand side, we have our logbook events. So here are all of the events that I'm able to log in the logbook. And this is a hierarchical structure. So I can expand the structure and I can log events anywhere up and down this structure. The structure that we use is generally a mixture of asset, so it can follow the breakdown of your asset, or it can also be a mixture of process. So we have, for instance, here we have safety events, and here we have events related to an individual asset. On the right hand side, the top section, we have the logbook entries, and I'll go through each of those symbols in turn once we get into the demonstration. So I have a number of entries in this particular logbook, and we can see the time that each event has been entered, the entry which comes from the left hand side, the comment which is input by the operator, and then we have additional information which is also available. So this additional information is all automated. When we log into the system, Opralog knows who we are, and so every time we log an event, our name will appear as the person who's done the logging. Also, the time that we log the event will be captured, and the time of any changes made to an event will be captured as well. On the bottom right hand section, we have what we call the additional information, and this additional information can take the format of drop down list boxes, tables of information, etc. We can also have attachments, and we can have graphs, and there are also some other features which will pop up from time to time, which I'll explain. So just to show you how the system works, if I want to log an event, then all I have to do is select the event on the left hand side, right click with my mouse button and select create entry. Once I've asked for the entry, I can then put in some information, and we can see here that I've just made an entry, I've put my comment in, and down here I've got some additional information, which in this case is a link out to an external file. As well as being able to create the entry in the logbook, the only bit that I've had to do is type in some additional comment, and this is the information that we want from the operator, which we would typically describe as the value added information. We don't want operators to spend too much time logging events. We want the system to do as much of the work as we can, and from the operator we want the value add, the information which they will have to hand. Some of the additional features, this particular event here has automatically been shared out to another logbook, which I'll show you in a moment or two, and I can see where that's been shared by right-clicking and saying show where this event is shared. It's been shared out into a monthly report log and a morning meeting log. So that's been set up to share automatically, as well as setting information to share automatically. I can put in some events and I can decide to share the event manually. So I have the option to share an event with any logbook that I have within the system. I can share them as read-write events or read-only events, and again this event has now been shared out. When I create an event in the logbook, the comments can be updated, so there may be additional information that I might need to add to an event, so I can just simply click into the comments box and I can continue to type some additional information. Now, when we put our comments in, our comments go in plain text, but we have the ability to change this to rich text format, which allows us to add some color and some additional formatting. So perhaps if we wanted to make something a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to see, then we can make those changes. Any changes that I make to an event are captured in an audit trail, and we can look at the audit trail just shortly. One of the things that Opralog does very well is its integration with Pi, and this highlighted event here, a plant status event that I've got at the bottom, this is an example of something which we would typically pull information from Pi. Now, because I'm showing you the Opralog from my laptop, I don't have Pi running on the laptop, but if I were at a client site, then typically this information would come from the Pi system. So as you can see, we have quite a lot of information here that we've been able to capture. And all of that information would be captured at the timestamp of the event that we put in. So if I were creating a plant status event and I wanted to capture the status of the plant just prior to my shift handover, then I could create this event and all this information would be automatically populated into my handover. We have a number of icons on the left hand side which signify various things, which I'll work through each of them in turn. So the event here, we have a little paperclip icon, and if I click on that event, I can see down at the bottom I have an attachment. So if I click on the attachment, we can see our attachment. This is an example, it's just a PDF file that has been attached to that particular event within my logbook. The next things we can see the little arrows which point out from right to left, and those are signifying that the events have been shared into other logbooks, and those events can be shared manually or they can be set up to automatically share. So we can see on the left hand side we have events with the blue arrows. That signifies that anytime I generate one of those events, the event will automatically be shared into another logbook for me. Next icon in, we have a clipboard with a tick box, and that signifies that the event that has been selected has also been changed into a task, and that gives us additional information that we can set down in the bottom section. So we have the detail of the task, we have a date when we would like the task to be completed, and we have a priority and a status. We can also then assign our task. In this case, I've assigned it to this particular user. And as well as assigning the task, we can also set some notifications. So we can have an email sent whenever the task is falling due, or whenever the task is falling overdue. So if the task has not been done within the desired time, we can then let other people know that that work is still outstanding to be done. Whenever we put in a completion date, then our task will now be marked as complete. Moving further to the left, we have down here, we have our plant status event, which I showed you earlier. And the plant status event, we can see this little arrow signifies that this event will be carried forward from one chapter in my logbook to the next. This is quite useful if we have an event that has a lot of information in it that perhaps doesn't change very often. So rather than logging the event and putting the information in from scratch each time, I can carry the event forward and make any necessary changes to the data. And then the final icons we have are flags. So I have an event which is an amber flag and an event which has a red flag. I can take any event and we can flag it red, amber or green. We also, on the left-hand side, we have the ability to filter if we're looking for particular events. So if I just change the logbook view to the complete logbook, which will just take a moment or two. So what we have now is we have the complete logbook of all the events which have ever been logged. So we have about 2 or 3 years worth of data now showing in this logbook. And if I'm interested in finding a particular event, then I can highlight the event on the left-hand side, and we have a button down in the bottom left which allows us to filter the logbook and find all of the events that have been logged against that particular item. So it's very quick, very easy to find events within the logbook. Also, within the logbook, we have the ability to search for entries, and here we have a search which is a typical search engine where we can type in either the exact phrase or any word, etc. And we can stipulate a date range, perhaps between specific dates, or in this case I'll leave it at any date, and we click on the search function, and straight away we've been brought back all of the events which contain the word which I've typed in my search field. If there's a particular event that I'm interested in, I can then navigate to that and double click on it, and my logbook will open up showing me the event which I've been looking to find. As well as being able to create tasks, the logbook also has a to-do list that we associate with it, and so we can take an item that's on our logbook and we can add that to the logbook's to-do list, which gives us another little clipboard icon, and at any time we can view the logbook's to-do list, and so we can see any events which have anything outstanding on them. And just as within the logbook, from the to-do screen I can make any changes to an event, I can modify the event in here. So as long as I have the correct permissions, then I can make those changes. I'll just quickly refresh, and you can see the changes are reflected back into my original logbook. So this is a basic logbook. Let me just move this out of the road. What I'd like to take a look at now is the Logbook Explorer. So this is our Logbook Explorer window. The logbook that we've been looking at over the last 2 or 3 minutes has been this CHP control room logbook. And you can see here we have a number of chapters. Now chapters generally are shifts. So if an organisation works 12-hour days, 12-hour nights, then for each shift we have an individual chapter. I have 2 chapters that are currently open, 3 that are locked, and the ones below that have also been signed off. And all of the detail here I get on the right hand side, so I can see who's locked a chapter, who's signed it off, and what time, etc. Now the other logbook that we have is our formatted logbook, and the structure again on the left hand side is very similar to that of the chronological logbook. It's set up in exactly the same way, and again I can expand, and there are events I can log. But the difference between this logbook and the other logbook is that this is what we call a formatted logbook. So within each of the logs there are various paragraph headings, and if I want to, I can simply click into a paragraph heading and I can type in some free text within here. But the benefit of this logbook is that whereas a chronological logbook has all its events organised in a chronological order, events that are put into this logbook are also always shared into individual sections. So again, we have a section here, operational impact defect, with a number of defects that have been shared in. So if I'm looking to produce a report, this is the best type of logbook that I would use. I click on report view. So this is how this logbook looks when it's printed off. So we start off with our general information. So we have various tables of data that have been gathered. We have some operational data which has been collected here. Then we have some safety events. And then we have our operational events below that, and some additional events below that. So this is the report view. This is the data entry view. I have an event here. You can see that I have 2 events with red flags. So just the same as the chronological logbook, I can flag events. I can also set events to carry forward. I also have the ability to add additional information. I can add attachments to my events, and I can also have graphs as part of an event. So those events here have all the same attributes that we would expect to see in a chronological logbook. And if I scroll down, scroll up, here's the event that I generated earlier, and we can see here that it's been shared into this logbook, but I'm not able to make any changes to the event because it's been shared in on a read-only basis. If I want to see where this event has been shared from, I just need to scroll along to the far side, and I can see the logbook which was used to generate the original event. Also, I can see all of the additional data about who logged the events, when the events were logged, when they were last changed. just as with the chronological logbook, we have the ability to move backwards through previous logbooks and forwards to the current logbook. In addition to the logs, we have the ability to generate reports from our logbooks, and I have some reports that I previously put into the system. So here I have some events that have been red flagged. If I run this report, I have a report of these are the events from the previous 6 months, which have all been given a red flag against them. I have the option down here to save this off as a PDF file, or I could export this to Word or Excel. Now, as well as being able to run the reports, I can schedule my report, and I can schedule the report to run any pattern, perhaps daily, set a time, determine when the report will first run, and I can select an email option to have this report emailed out to recipients who are users of Opralog or people external to Opralog. So this is used quite often to share information across an organization. Just return to our chronological logbook where we started. Within the logbook, I can look at the history of an individual event. So I can look at the entry audit trail, and we can see from the audit trail when the event was created, when it was shared, when it was changed, etc. So all of the information is captured and available for us. Now, as well as being able to put events into the logbook manually, we can schedule events into our logbook. So we have our event scheduler, and I can select an entry from the scheduler. So I select my logbook. I'll select an event that I want to schedule. And then I can select the frequency that I would like the event to come in and when I would first like to see that event appear in the logbook. So that event will now appear in this logbook every day starting today. I can exclude particular days, or I can change the frequency from daily to hourly, weekly, or monthly. And we should see that the event that I've scheduled should appear in my logbook. It's not there at the moment. It'll be there within the next few minutes, an event that's been scheduled into my logbook. So as I say, as well as people manually inputting, we can have events put into the logbook automatically. The other way we can have events triggered into our logbook is from an external source. Now, if I were looking to put an event in from an external source, I would typically map external links. And from here, I would be able to select an event from my logbook. So perhaps I might want my plant status data. I can say that the event is an OPC or a PI event. In here, all I need to do is put in the PI tag and my trigger condition. So perhaps I would normally use a digital tag, and my condition, if it was numeric, maybe a 0 or a 1. And whenever this value changes in pi, this event would automatically be triggered into my logbook. The last bit that I think I need to show you is the ability to use graphs. So for example, I have an event here where I've been looking at oil usage, and my template down here, I put in the amount of oil that I've added. And below this, we have a calculated value showing me the cumulative value depending on the number that I've put in. So if I change the number, my calculation will change. And if I wanted to graph that data point, I can create a simple graph of that, which I can then give it a title, I can set a time scale, and I can make some changes. So we can see from here that the oil added has been growing over time. But as well as being able to create a simple graph, I can also add a graph. And I have graphs that I've created earlier on. I can select one of those, select Add Graph, and my graph will now appear in my logbook. And anytime this event is shared or reported on, my graph will also appear in the report.